The Supreme is beyond all. Talks with Sri Nisargadatta Maharaj. Devotee asked, "You say reality is one. Oneness, unity is the attribute of the person. Is then reality a person with the universe as its body?" Maharaj said, "Whatever you may say will be both true and false. Words do not reach beyond the mind." Devotee asked, "I am just trying to understand. You are telling us of the person, the self, and the supreme, Vyakti, Vyakta, Avyakta, the light of pure awareness, focused as I am in the self, Jivatma as consciousness, Chetna illumines the mind, Antakarna, and as life, Prajna vitalizes the body, Deha. All this is fine as far as the words go. But when it comes to distinguishing in myself the person from the self and the self from the supreme, I get mixed up." Maharaj said, "The person is never the subject. You can see a person, but you are not the person. You are always the supreme which appears at a given point of time and space as the witness, a bridge between the pure awareness of the supreme and the manifold consciousness of the person." Devotee said, "When I look at myself, I find I am several persons fighting amongst themselves for the use of the body." Maharaj said, "They correspond to the various tendencies, sanskara, of the mind." Then devotee asked, "Can I make peace between them?" Maharaj said, "How can you? They are so contradictory. See them as they are, mere habits of thoughts and feelings, bundles of memories and urges." Devotee said, "Yet they all say I am." Maharaj said, "It is only because you identify yourself with them. Once you realize that whatever appears before you cannot be yourself and cannot say I am, you are free of all your persons and their demands. The sense I am is your own. You cannot part with it, but you can impart it to anything, as in saying I am young, I am rich, and so on. But such self identifications are patently false and the cause of bondage." Devotees asked, "I can now understand that I am not the person, but that which, when reflected in the person, gives it a sense of being. Now about the Supreme, in what way do I know myself as the Supreme?" Maharaj said, "The source of consciousness cannot be an object in consciousness. To know the source is to be the source. When you realize that you are not the person but the pure and calm witness, and that fearless awareness is your very being, you are the being, it is the source, the inexhaustible possibility." Then devotee asked, "Are there many sources or one for all?" Maharaj said, "It depends how you look at it, from which ends. The objects in the world are many, but the eye that sees them is one. The higher always appears as one to the lower, and the lower as many to the higher." Then devotee asked, "Shapes and names are all of one and the same God?" Maharaj said again, "It all depends on how you look at it. On the verbal level, everything is relative. Absolutes should be experienced, not discussed. Then devotee asked, how is the absolute experienced? Maharaj said, it is not an object to the recognized and stored up in memory. It is in the present and in feeling rather. It has more to do with the how than with the what. It is in the quality, in the value, being the source of everything. It is in everything. If it is the source, why and how does it manifest itself? Devotee asked. Then Maharaj said, it gives birth to consciousness, all else is in consciousness. Devotee asked, why are there so many centers of consciousness? Maharaj said, the objective universe is in constant movement, projecting and dissolving innumerable forms. Whenever a form is infused with life, prana, consciousness, chetna appears by reflection of awareness in matter. Then devotee asked, how is the Supreme affected? Maharaj said, what can affect it and now? How? The source is not affected by the vagaries of the rivers, nor is the metal by the shape of the jewelry. Is the light affected by the picture on the screen? The Supreme makes everything possible, that is all. Then devotee asked, how is it that some things do happen and some don't? Maharaj said, seeking out causes is a pastime of the mind. There is no duality of cause and effect. Everything is its own cause. Then devotee asked, no purposeful action is then possible? Maharaj said, all I say is that consciousness contains all. In consciousness, all is possible. You can have causes if you want them in your world. Another may be content with a single cause, God's will. The root cause is one, the sense I am. Then devotee asked, what is the link between the self, Vyakt, and the Supreme, Avyakta? Maharaj said, from the self's point of view, the world is the known, the Supreme, the unknown. The unknown gives birth to the known, yet remains unknown. The known is infinite, but the unknown is an infinitude of infinities. Just like a ray of light is never seen unless intercepted by the specks of dust, so does the Supreme make everything known, itself remaining unknown. Devotee asked, does it mean that the unknown is inaccessible? Then Maharaj said, oh no. The Supreme is the easiest to reach, for it is your very being. It is enough to stop thinking and desiring anything but the Supreme. Devotee asked, and if I desire nothing, not even the Supreme? Maharaj said, then you are as good as dead, or you are the Supreme. Devotee asked, the world is full of desires. Everybody wants something or other. Who is the desirer, the person or the self? Maharaj said, the self. All desires, holy and unholy, come from the self. They all hang on the sense I am. Then devotee asked, I can understand holy desires, satya karma, emanating from the self. It may be the expression of the bliss, aspect of the Satchit Ananda, beingness, awareness, happiness of the self. But why unholy desires? Maharaj said, all desires aim at happiness. Their shape and quality depend on the psyche, antakarna, where inertia, tamas, predominates. We find perversions with energy, rajas, passions arise. With lucidity, sattva, the motive behind the desire is goodwill, compassion, the urge to make happy rather than be happy. But the Supreme is beyond all, yet because of its infinite permeability, all cogent desire can be fulfilled. Then devotee asked, which desires are congent? Then Maharaj said, desires that destroy their subjects or objects or do not subside on satisfaction are self-contradictory and cannot be fulfilled. Only desires motivated by love, goodwill and compassion are beneficial to both the subject and the object and can be fully satisfied. Then devotee asked, all desires are painful, the holy as well as the unholy. Maharaj said, they are not the same and pain is not the same. Passion is painful, compassion never. The entire universe strives to fulfill a desire born of compassion. Then devotee asked, does the Supreme know itself is the impersonal conscious? Maharaj said, the source of all has all. Whatever flows from it must be there already in seed form, and as a seed is the last innumerable seeds and contains the experience and the promise of numberless forests, so does the unknown contain all that was or could have been and all that shall or would be. The entire field of becoming is open and accessible. Past and future coexist in the eternal now. Devotee asked, are you living in the Supreme Unknown? Maharaj said, where else? Then devotee asked, what makes you say so? Maharaj, no desire ever arises in my mind. Then devotee asked, are you then unconscious? Maharaj said, of course not. I am fully conscious, but since no desire or fear enters my mind, there is perfect silence. Then devotee asked, who knows the silence? Maharaj said, silence knows itself. It is the silence of the silent mind when passions and desires are silenced. Devotee asked, do you experience desires occasionally? Maharaj said, desires are just waves in the mind. You know a wave when you see one. A desire is just a thing among many. I feel no urge to satisfy. No action needs be taken on it. Freedom from desire means this: the compulsion to satisfy is absent. Then devotee asked, why do desire arise at all? Maharaj said, because you imagine that you were born and that you will die if you do not take care of your body. Desire for embodied existence is the root cause of trouble. Devotee asked, yet so many jivas get into bodies. Surely I cannot be some error of judgment. There must be a purpose. What could it be? Maharaj said, to know itself, the self must be faced with its opposite, the not self. Desire leads to experience. Experience leads to discrimination, detachment, self knowledge. liberation. And what is liberation after all? To know that you are beyond birth and death. By forgetting who you are and imagining yourself a mortal creature, you created so much trouble for yourself that you have to wake up like from a bad dream. Inquiry also wakes you up. You need not wait for suffering. Inquiry into happiness is better, for the mind is in harmony and at peace. Then devotee asked, who exactly is the ultimate experiencer, the self or the unknown? Maharaj said, the self, of course. Then devotee asked, then why introduce the notion of the supreme unknown? Maharaj said, to explain the self. Then devotee asked, but is there anything beyond the self? Maharaj said, outside the self there is nothing. All is one and all is contained in I am. In the waking and dream states, it is the person. In deep sleep and turiya, it is the self. Beyond the alert intentness of turiya lies the great silent peace of the Supreme. But in fact, all is one in essence and related in appearance. In ignorance, the seer becomes the seen, and in wisdom, he is the seeing. But why be concerned with the Supreme? Know the knowers, and all will be known. Hari Om Tat Sat.